Welcome and good morning, everybody. My name is Mick Diener, your service leader today, and I'm excited to tell you this is my first time doing this. Thank you to Paula, to Kathy, Daniela Franco for inviting me. Thank you, Karen, for that lovely performance of the Swan. The title of that piece gives us a hint about today's theme on the power of nature to heal us, and a hint about today's special speaker, the truly gifted San Miguel-based photographer, Holly Wilmuth. But first things first. This is the Sunday morning service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende. We are located on the lands of the Chichimeca, Otomi, and Nahua peoples, and we are making community as well by Zoom across Mexico, Canada, the US, and beyond. How exciting. We love that you are choosing to spend this morning with us, and we would like to extend an especially warm welcome to anybody joining us for the first time. This is a big house, as you know, it's a big community, and we welcome everybody with open arms. So, regardless of where you are, your ethnic background, your gender identity, your sexual orientation, your religious background, or lack of one, you can bring your whole self here, and we are thrilled that you are here. Little bit of business, brief announcement. The Hotel Aldea has new management and new policies about parking. While attending our service, parking is free, but if you wish to leave the property to have lunch somewhere else, please be courteous and check in at the front desk to pay for parking. Thanks for your understanding on this. Also, remember to reserve with Diana Amaya if you wish to attend next week's session in person. How exciting would that be? Finally, we invite you to look in today's order of service for activities and membership information, or go to our website, uuasma.org. I love saying that because I feel like I'm on NPR. And now, let's go to Donna Shoebrooks for today's COVID Task Force update.
Good morning, UUs. I'm Donna Shoebrooks, a nurse on our COVID Task Force. First, to all those attending the in-person service at the Aldea, welcome. And thank you for respecting the rules of, mask wearing and social distancing. A lot of planning and hard work went into making these gatherings possible, from the Sunday Service Committee, the tech and administrative staff, the staff and personnel at the Aldea, and the COVID task force. All have put in a lot of effort to make these services possible. So thank you for following the rules. I know we're all pretty sick and tired of hearing the same old messages about COVID precautions and what not to do. These precautions are boring, and we want to get back to our normal life. But sadly, it's still pretty important. COVID is everywhere. It is in San Miguel, and it's really all over the world with new variants all the time. And with so many extra tourists in town for Day of the Dead 2 weeks ago in San Miguel, we know that the positive cases are on the increase again, even among those who are fully vaccinated. We are learning of more and more breakthrough cases in San Miguel, and I am one of those myself. Being fully vaccinated, I was pretty shocked to learn that I contracted the virus. I thought I was always careful wearing masks in any public space, socializing only with other vaccinated friends, usually outdoors, and I rarely even went out. But still, I got breakthrough COVID myself with long-lasting symptoms. Mild heart damage and pneumonia made it nearly impossible to walk 1 block to the store on the Ancha. I remember one day when I walked to the store, I had to stop. Coming back, I had to stop every few feet, put my bag down, lean on the wall, and catch my breath. It was a long walk home. For weeks, it was just exhausting. I could barely walk to the kitchen. Now, fortunately, I have always excelled at napping, so I got lots of rest. And indeed, I am much improved, nearly back to normal. So do vaccines work? No doubt, absolutely. I am sure I would have been much sicker if I had not been vaccinated. And remember that each of you knows someone probably close to you who has or has had COVID. And if you travel, you are being exposed. Wearing well-fitted masks, social distancing, which is pretty hard to do in airports, and being vaccinated are your best protection. But remember, you don't just follow the rules for yourself. It's also for your friends, your family, and the whole community. That's the UU way. Also, please know that here in San Miguel, we do have access to excellent hospitals and medical specialists. We are quite fortunate. I would like to thank the care team, my sisters in the UU Mis Hermanas group, and so many very kind members of our fellowship for all your calls, your emails, for flowers and food, for driving me to medical appointments, and all your gestures of concern. You know who you are. We are truly lucky to all have each other in this fellowship. Stay well, my friends. And now, back to Mick at the Aldea for our opening words.
And we have Kathy assisting us with the lighting of the chalice. Thank you, Kathy. What if, as we light the chalice, we all hear an invitation to welcome gratitude for the earth? Let's all take a healing breath together. So even with your masks on, inhale through the nose and exhale out a little sigh. Once more, inhale. Good. And as we continue breathing, let us pause in the stillness that this breathing creates to rest for a moment, to quiet ourselves so that we can feel that which stirs within us. Each breath draws us closer to the pulse of life, and with each exhalation, we make room for something new. May it come. Let's bid that new thing welcome. And now a poem by Mary Oliver that I believe reverberates with today's speaker, Holly, and her theme of receiving the healing power of nature. It's called When I Am Among the Trees. When I'm among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and I never hurry through the world, but walk slowly, and I bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from the branches, and they call again. It's simple. They say, "And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine." And now join me together with Miguel Angel in reciting our covenant, first in English and then in Spanish. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning. We strive for compassion in our relationships and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
All right, now let's stand if you're willing and able here in person. And if you're on Zoom, you can join us as well in singing a beautiful hymn. It's number 21 in your legendary hymnal book. The hymn is entitled "For the Beauty of the Earth," number 21.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the
Good morning. My name is Mark Johanningsmeyer, and I'm here to share with you the joys and concerns that you have shared. But in our covenant that we shared just a couple minutes ago, we affirm the web of life and the complex of relationships within it. You and I are part of that web of independence. Joy Harjo is a member of the Muskogee tribe. She's a poet and writer. She was a featured speaker at the San Miguel Writers Conference a few years ago. I share these words from Joy Harjo. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you, and know that there is more, that you can't see, that you can't hear, can't know, except in moments steadily growing, and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like Eagle, that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in the blue sky and wind, it swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe knowing we are truly blessed because we were born and die soon within a true circle of motion. Like Eagle rounding out the morning inside us, we pray that it will be done in beauty, in beauty. And now we light this first candle for the animal companions and neighbors who sustain us and teach us, love us, and complete us. We mourn the losses in our world when one of these dies, when a species dies. A candle as we remember those who have labored and fought and died to protect and defend us, our people. We remember also those in other places, other nations, who have labored and fought and died for the sake of their people. We light this candle for Holly Wilmuth, who died of COVID. She was a volunteer with SEDESA and many other projects to benefit the people of San Miguel. A candle to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Judith Genya and myself in this last week. Excuse me. And we light this candle for ourselves and our neighbors that we might keep a wider perspective than the most immediate and the most urgent crises which try to claim our attention and energy. We long for and we work for peace, for kindness, for belonging, for laughter, for wonder. A candle representing the work of the International Climate Gathering this last week. Gratitude for all that's been done, hope for more. And this last candle, for the joys and concerns that have not been named, but which are present and important in your lives. And now, a brief time of silence. Amen. And now McDiener will perform a piece to accompany our thoughts and meditations.
Fare you well, my honey. Fare you well, my only true one. All the birds that were singing are flown except you alone. River gonna take me, sing me sweet and sleepy. Sing me sweet and sleepy all the way back home. It's a far-gone lullaby sung many years ago. Mama, mama, many worlds I've come since I first left home. Going home, going home by the waterside, I will rest my bones. Listen to the river sing sweet songs to rock my soul. I'm gonna plant a weeping willow on the bank's green edge. It will grow, grow, grow. Sing a lullaby beside the water. Lovers come and go, the river roll, roll, roll. Listen to the river sing sweet songs to rock my soul.
Hi, my name is Judy Rosenthal. I'm the steward for Mujeres en Cambio in the UU Social Action Committee. As most of you know, I'm sure you've heard this before, Mujeres en Cambio was created partially by UU women in 1995. 26 years ago, the UU Fellowship sponsored 7 girls. Now Mujeres provides becas 5 times a year for 170 young women from 7 small rural communities in our state. Here's a brief portrait of one of these young women. Juana. Juana has been a recipient of a beca since her 2nd year of junior high. She is currently in the 1st year of high school. She graduated the 8th grade with a 9.3 out of 10 grade point average. She wants to go to university and study biology or mathematics. Juana lives in Alcocer with her parents and 2 sisters. Her mother's a homemaker and her father is an albañil or construction worker. You may have heard that we've been invited to observe their scholarship distributions this week. All Unitarians are invited on Tuesday, November 16th from 11 to 2 at the Instituto Allende, when the junior and high school students will receive becas. Wednesday, November 17th, again from 11 to 2, 64 college women will receive their stipends. I've witnessed these distributions of money several times over the years. What I like to see is the growing confidence of the girls as they continue their education. In the beginning, they start when they're 14 or 15. They're very shy and they're very uncertain of how to act. As they enter prepa, high school or then university, their maturity shows. One of my favorite students so far is in the last year of her college engineering program. It's a 5-year program. She remembered me and she asked, "How's it going?" As we pass our baskets, please remember these girls. Your donations will now be gratefully received as we listen to music from Primal Earth Sounds.
It is my great pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Holly Wilmuth. She's both an extraordinary artist, she's a dear friend. Holly is an internationally published photographer with a profound love and reverence for the natural world. Born and raised in Guatemala, Holly has made San Miguel her home base for the last 15 years. She recently finished a series of 64 portraits and created an oracle deck entitled Sacred Nature, which exquisitely and gracefully combines plants with human subjects as a way to bring awareness to the wisdom that nature offers us. Her respect for all parts of nature not only allows us to pause and open our eyes to the beauty of the nature that surrounds us, but also invites us to learn from nature, to feel it, and to be healed by it. Thank you, Holly, for your work and for joining us today.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, Danny Franco, for the invitation today. Thank you, Kathy and Paula, for all your help, and Diego in the back. I'm very excited to be here today. So thank you very much for having me. And wow, that little video that we got to see, Earth is so inspiring. How can we not be in awe? It brings me to tears. Anyways, today I want to talk a little bit about how my relationship with nature has truly transformed my life as an artist, a mother, a friend, and a human. I'd like to start off with a quote that says, "Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy," by Einstein. I'm sure we've all experienced how setting the intention of spending time in nature brings us to self-awareness and to the present moment. I often catch myself forgetting about this delicious quality and then reminding to ask myself the question, why is being in nature so important? Over the last 9 years, I've been in relationship with nature on and off. I say this because I get a good dosage of nature, and then I get busy and I forget to hang out in nature. And well, I've been going back and forth. So nature's latest lesson in my life was my project titled Sacred Nature, which is an oracle deck. An oracle deck is like a tarot deck where you can lay it on the table and you pull a card for the day or for a moment or in a group, and it can be a source of inspiration. So nature has been showing me that the on and off version I've been practicing is not really the way to go about doing it. I'm like, okay. Nature leaves me feeling nurtured, balanced, and truly feeling in harmony within myself. So why am I going back and forth? Well, nature's always whispering to me when I have strayed too far away, come closer, take a peek. My curiosity always sparked and my spirit living in the sacred dance with life through the simple exchange. As Rumi's poem goes, let yourself be silently drawn by the silent pool of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. So it's been only recently, and by that I mean the last 2 months, since I've been back home in San Miguel, that I've become aware of the healing properties in setting a daily intention with nature's gifts, be it through a walk, reading an oracle card, listening to sounds of birds, breathing gratitude into my heart. The list goes on. My love for this relationship has awakened in me a deeper love for all beings and what it means to live in reverence for life. As a child, I grew up swinging underneath a jacaranda tree, her soft lilac petals covering the ground. Her thick and sturdy trunk was safe base for endless tag games. I spent my childhood outdoors filled with the energy of numerous discoveries, as well as appropriately bored. Can you remember a special tree, a special nature smell of your childhood? Let's take a moment and conjure an image to hold in our hearts. For many of us, we can remember a moment that is marked in our minds and souls with nature. Sometimes we've just forgotten, and a little nudge can help. Anchor this memory of scent or touch of nature, whether it be of your childhood or a more recent one, and touch a part of your body. I like to touch my heart and conjure the image of the stillness of the Oregon coast. My breathing slows down, and I breathe gratitude into my heart. This is a technique that strengthens our heart intelligence, and in which our energy field tries to match that of nature and the cosmos. When you lie for a period of time in nature, this happens naturally. To some, this is called coherence. Forest bathing, and I'll tell you a little cool piece of science here, or forest therapy, was developed in Japan in the 1980s. There is a large amount of scientific evidence surrounding the health benefits of spending time in nature. Because of this, forest bathing became an integral part of preventive health care and healing in Japanese medicine. The idea is that when humans spend time in a natural setting, especially under the canopy of a forest, They experience rejuvenating benefits to the mind, body, and spirit. People who spend time in the forest experience decreased cortisol, stress hormone levels, which can help relieve high blood pressure, heart conditions, skin conditions, and asthma. High stress levels can compromise your immune system. By reducing these levels, your body's natural defense system is able to work its magic. Now, listen to this. Trees release oils into the air called phytoncides, and inhaling these natural essences can actually help to boost our immune system. Wow. Nature is a gentle and forgiving friend and a source of inspiration and awe and curiosity. All are invited as creators, as artists, as humans to experience this inclusiveness. My father was a cotton farmer when I was growing up, and I remember on the 2-hour hot drives to his farm near the Pacific coast in Guatemala, him teaching me all about the crops we were passing: tobacco, sorghum, cotton, sugarcane, vegetables of sorts and fruits, and then teaching me also about the trees. Nature in many ways represented our livelihood. It was either a good year or a bad year, and nature could be wild and unpredictable. I remember unconsciously learning that nature needed to be tamed for my family's prosperity. I wasn't around people who loved nature for its wisdom and spiritual healing properties. That came much later in my life. But nature has been a loyal companion and friend to me, hoping I would hear its whisper calling me home. It wasn't until I spent time on the Oaxaca coast that my relationship with nature started to transform. We're going to start looking at some images while I'm speaking as well, and this image right here is one of the first ones I ever shot. So I come from a family of artists and self-motivated humans. My grandmother painted portraits around the world. My grandfather was an adventurer, sort of your Guatemalan Indiana Jones. I grew up dreaming I wanted adventure and wanted to be an artist. And so in college, I took a photography class in which I fell in love with the possibility of telling and creating stories through images. I took 2 rolls of 24 frames with me that first winter when I went back home to Guatemala for a month. And it was there I photographed out in the sugarcane fields as well as down in the Rio Dulce area in the jungle. I explored documentary photography and fine art photography. I opted initially for the journalism route and eventually came around to different kind of work. At the peak of my career, I got physically sick from overworking and burned out. Something called my husband Sky and I to take a 3-month sabbatical on the coast of Oaxaca, where there was no internet. Exactly. We slept, sang, did a morning routine of drawing. We took the time to not do very much except to live and listen to the rhythms of nature and the ocean waves. We would watch every sunrise and sunset and watch the turtles swim by, the dolphins, the whales, the flying manta rays. It was a smorgasbord of nature. The only activity I did was led by my curiosity of all the dead turtle bones that were showing up. I learned to clean them, and the symbolism behind power animals started popping up. That first sabbatical on the coast reignited in me a desire to create and reimagine images and creative living. What does it mean to be living creatively? But this time, I decided to bring nature with me, or did nature bring me along? The images I took from this pause from my busy life taught me about working with sacred intention and to slowly start healing my relationship with nature. As Mirabai Starr talks about in her book, Wild Mercy on Creative Living, when we show up to make art, we need to get still enough to hear what wants to be expressed through us. And then we need to step out of the way and let it. We must be willing to abide in a space of not knowing before we can settle into knowing. This image right here was shot on a pilgrimage that I did a few years ago to San Juan de la Laguna, which leaves from San Miguel. In the spring of 2018, when on the coast of Nayarit for 3 months, this image is my son pulling me, I hit a greater low in life. I mention the challenges of my life because from them the greatest gifts have been born. Motherhood wasn't as easy as I thought. 3 years of sleepless nights with my son experiencing night terrors left my nervous system fried. I was yearning for a project, but I could barely grapple my own internal instability. However, it was during these months, though, that little crumbs of nature started showing up before me. I started noticing because of my son's awe and all that surrounded him. Nature was whispering to me, calling me home to soothe me, heal me, rebalance me. I could feel myself falling in love with nature again, pulled by the awe of my son's curiosity. I was enthralled. Nature presented itself first by showing me empty turtle shells. I would collect them and talk with my son about them and put them on our altar. Jungle seed fruits, everything that showed up became a curiosity. As I started to be curious about my surroundings, I could feel my soul wanting to be playful again. I could feel my creativity wanting to explore and learn. I was being taught by nature this time, and our interconnectedness to journey back to wholeness. One of the first questions I remember popping up into my head was, why don't I know all the names and medicinal properties of the plants I surround myself? I learn all the names of man-made things, well, almost, but not the universe-created things around me. Well, that's silly, and so my schooling began. As Robin Wall Kimmerer writes in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, in some native languages, the term for plant translates to those who take care of us. Our indigenous herbalists say to pay attention when plants come to you. They're bringing you something you need to learn. I remember singing to my son when I put him to bed at night about our earth, thanking all the plants, the landscapes, the animals, everything surrounding us. I had also recently taken a class on herbal medicine with Alison Bastian, who lives here in town, and had become increasingly aware of the deep wisdom in nature surrounding me. And so my latest project slowly awakened, first in the form of simple necklaces I put on children, made from the seeds and plants I was collecting. Can you hold that right there for a minute? That image? Thank you. When I'd returned to my home in San Miguel, I started imagining not just necklaces, but larger pieces over people's bodies, the way jacaranda covers the town in soft lilac when it's in season. This is the first image I took that started on the latest project I worked on. And I love this because when I had just come back from the coast, the pavement in all of town was surrounded by jacarandas blooming. And I went out to gather all of the petals that were thrown around and thought I'd make a dress. But as I started sewing them together, I figured, oh, that might take me a few days. So instead I did a necklace. And this is a friend, this is her daughter. We wrapped the necklace around her neck, and then we didn't quite know what to do with her hair, so we pulled it up. And in the end, I kind of like it like that. Thank you, you can keep on going. The portraits I began to photograph were conceived by listening to my intuition about what was blooming and fully vital at the moment, and then engaging a model who best corresponded to that plant's energy. As I photographed more images, I could see the sacred dance of the project opening and evolving, and I realized that I wanted this to be a collaborative effort. So I brought in a couple of writers, herbalists, a poet to help create a body of work that would be much more broader than just having it be images. I spent a whole year and a half photographing all of these images from all the places that we were at, and using friends, my husband and son, and everyone around to help create the pieces as well as be the models. And, oh, can you hold this on this image? I'd like to share a little bit about this. This is a really lovely image. The story behind it is Alison Bastian, who lives actually just right over here, has this flower called night blooming cereus. And as some of you might know, it blooms 1, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year, but it only blooms at night. And so she graciously gifted a few of these flowers. And so I ran over to another friend who lives just around the corner here. And then we gathered early in the morning to place them all on her. And just as the light was coming up, there was only this last flower left open. Thank you. You can keep on going there. Robin Will Camaro, whose book I absolutely adore, called Braiding Sweetgrass, says, knowing that you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and protect and celebrate. But when you feel that the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms the relationship from a one-way street into a sacred bond. Today, my morning routine greets my body, and it also gives thanks and welcomes the sun, the moon, and all of nature surrounding me. I set the intention to receive the wisdom of nature and life. The reciprocal energy is one of harmony and balance and wholeness. There is a term known as biophilia, which is defined as the innate human instinct to connect with nature and other living beings. Biophilia is more than just a philosophy. Biophilic design has been found to support cognitive function, physical health, and psychological well-being. What if, in falling in love with nature, the roles suddenly were to become reversed? What if nature is the artist creating patterns to remind us how to live life in harmony and to self-heal? For example, the oldest living organism on Earth is named Pando, which means I spread, which is a male quaking aspen clone in Utah that is at least 80,000 years old. Aspen roots spread out underground and connect an entire hillside of sister trees. Root systems nurture, heal, and support each other, reminding us that connection and interrelationships are essential for survival. That quaking, nervous, seemingly fluttering of its leaves may actually be a choir calling you to harmonize and connect. Not only are you not alone, you are being called to ground and appreciate those around you. Connection heals the heart and soul. In centuries past, art was created in the act of service in different spiritual paths. Whenever we take art back to the realm of sacred, whenever we make it an act of service in any form, letting go of the ego, we again experience the ease of creating flow and the lessening of our creative doubts. As Richard Rohr, a Franciscan monk, shares, when we ask to listen, we create works worthy of being heard, and we ourselves hear the heartbeat of our common humanity, which is grounded in divinity and unity. Art moves through us. A piece of art may originate with us, but we originate somewhere larger ourselves. We are, each of us, more than we seem, more than the sum of our merely human components. There is a divine spark animating each of us, and that divine spark also animates our art. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Holly. That was wonderful and so fantastic to see those images. Holly's talk reminds me of one of my favorite quatrains from Rumi, which is suggestive of what nature offers us if we are able to step outside of our own preoccupations, and I know I have a lot of them. Rumi writes, "For years, copying other people, I tried to know myself. From within, I couldn't decide what to do. Unable to see, I heard my name being called. Then I walked outside." And now Kathy will assist us in extinguishing the chalice. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of us. Let's carry that flame. Let's carry it with us as we leave this place and share it with all of those we know, with those we love, and most especially those we have not yet met. As Rumi says, Let the beauty you love be exit beginning from the rear and then forward. And we request that if you want to converse and visit outside, do it outside, not here in the sala. These are part of our safety protocols from the COVID task force. Thanks for helping keep us all safe. And now that postlude I promised, Bach's Prelude in C major, performed by Karen Kelly at the piano.